On the climb, the first climb of the day, 2 riders away here on the front to Zanetti of the Akai team, and he has with him number 177 who rides for the, yes, you've guessed it, the Scrino Blue Storm team. And we've seen these lads in action so much, and that's Viaggio Conte. And those of you who have been following coverage of the Tour of Spain since the start will know that Conte was the man who burst from the pack on the first day on that stage around Valencia to take the victory and to take the Amarillo jersey. So Conte won stage 1, he collected all the jerseys, everything went on with except the King of the Mountains prize, because Galdiano had done that. And you can see now they're all coming out here with the Spanish flags in profusion to cheer these two on their way. Well, Conte all the way from Italy, and it has with him the rider from the Akai team who's riding with him here, Dennis Zanetti. So they're applauding 2 Italians at the moment in this, the Tour of Spain. And we have an Italian dominating the race at the moment, because Fabio Baldato took the Amarillo jersey yesterday when he galloped ahead. And you can see on your screen now the little route which just shows with those 2 mountains in the midst of it all, that we're not going to get, I think, the bunch sprint that we've had for the past few days. It's been very, I'll say, boring in some respects, but tactically they've been racing for the bonuses all the way along the route. And now with 50 kilometres to go, these 2 riders, they had a lead of well over 2 minutes at one point, but the action is now coming from the following group. The chasers setting off after our 2 escapers. Down the road then, Conte and Zanetti. They had over a 2-minute lead, but now it's beginning to drag up, and the little mountain climbers are coming into their own. I like this part of the Tour of Spain when we've had the sprinters, nothing wrong in that, but it's sort of very controlled until we have the mad gallop at the end of it, and seconds have been separating the top contenders for the sprint honours each day. But now they're in the mountains, and some of the big sprinters, those chaps with thighs like tree trunks and bodies to match, aren't going to get up this first climb all that easy. So we're likely to see some of the big sprinters disappearing off the back. But Jalabert can climb, Baldato, he's not bad in the mountains either, so they may have to settle their differences by scooping up these breakaway riders. We'll have to wait and see. And there is the main group. Wedged in between them and the 2 breakaway leaders was Marcos Serrano of the Calme team. After looking at that lovely shot of them up in the mountains, let me take you through what has happened so far today on the stage. We started out with a sprint after 38 kilometres of racing at Torremolinos, and that was one with bonuses. But by the time we got there, Zülle had already attacked, and in fact they were going like stink in that first hour, and Zülle went through the first of the sprints at Torremolinos on his own. Then he was being chased and then subsequently joined by Pier Domenico of the Cantina Tolo team, and so Germano Pier Domenico joined up with Zülle, and they went across first and second after 38 kilometres of racing, and Zanetti of the AKI team was in 3rd spot. Then, as they went away, still further off the front, Domenico, Pier Domenico and Zülle, they went through another sprint at 80 kilometres. Drifting off the back now, that's Pavanello, who's been destroyed. I talked about the sprinters struggling, by the way. Pavanello is one of the riders who's been up there all the way through so far, contesting most of the sprints, and he's lying, just having a look on the general classification, not badly off either, Pavanello. He's in 5th spot, so the one rider just saw disappear backwards, Pavanello, 38 seconds in arrears behind Baldato, has just been shot off the back on this climb. So you can see that the damage is being done with the big men. So it looks like he's going to drop down the general classification as we go back to our 2 leaders. Of those 2 leaders then, when they went through the second sprint of the day, Pier Domenico took that one from Zülle. Pavanello, who we just saw now, got himself 1 second bonus because he was 3rd. He liked that bit because it's very flat into Bella Madena. And then by the time we got to Ogyen, after some 94 kilometres, Zanetti had gone away with Conte. That's the 2 you see on your screen now. And Zanetti took that sprint just ahead of Conte, get himself 3 seconds bonus, and Conte a couple of seconds. But they're more determined to punch a hole between them and the main group, which when they got to the sprint at 94 kilometres, Jalabert jumped across and got the 3rd spot and 1 second bonus. So in fact Jalabert now cut his deficit on Baldato, by 1 second, so it's now down at 10 seconds. Jalabert lying second overall on general classification, 10 seconds behind Fabio Baltardo of the MG Technogym team. So we're on the mountains now, and the whole race will, I hope, stay apart. You never know, they may scoop these two up, and we might have a bunch sprint finish at the end of it all, because when they go over the climbs, there we are, over the mountain climbs, just over the top of that one, with Zanetti going over first, and Conte collecting some points toward the king of the mountain, which is led by Bobby Julich at the moment. But now we've had a second category and a third category climb today, so the situation could begin to change a little bit. Zanetti seems to be doing most of the work here. Conte is hanging on to his wheel. And that's Scrigno Blue Storm team, the orangey colour on the right-hand side of your screen. They've had about 30-odd victories so far this year, and they're looked upon as one of the smaller of the Italian teams, not the big budget jobs that we see with the people like the Mappe operation or the MG Techno gyms. And they're doing extremely well, despite the fact that they are not really all that flush with cash. And as I mentioned the other day, and if you heard my commentary, then please forgive me, that the Scrigno people are in fact a sliding door manufacturer. I mean, how do you advertise sliding doors anyway, anywhere in the world? I suppose you could advertise in the trade press to house builders or something, but they actually do it through a race team here, and obviously that impresses their customers. And I've no doubt if we really looked back and found that the managing director of the Scrigno company, or the owner is more likely, probably was an ex-racing cyclist who enjoys the sport and finds a good reason then to pump some of his excess profits into an advertising campaign based around a cycle racing team. Good luck to him, sir. I can see the difficulty in the sprint yesterday we had when it was Konishev who took second place. You see this yellow jersey here? By the way, they've got Shandry on the screen. I don't know why on earth they've got 58 up there. That's certainly not Max Shandry in a yellow jersey. That's certainly an Akai jersey. It's number 15. It's Dennis Zanetta. He's been out there for an awful long time. And so I don't quite know why we got the caption wrong from our Spanish friends who are operating the machine down in their big scanner. Well, you just listen to me, and I hope I can get it right. But certainly yesterday, trying to pick out that sprint to see where Jalabert had got to was a very, very difficult thing indeed, because there were so many yellow jerseys. When you look at that one, that the Aka riders going up the hill in here, and his teammate Konishev got second spot in the sprint yesterday, and I was looking for a yellow jersey. What happened to Jalabert? Well, he's tucked further back down the finishing order. If you didn't get it in your newspapers back in Great Britain, the finish of the stage yesterday, when Baldato first, Konishev second, Minali third, Jalabert was in fact 26th spot. They all were given the same time, but Baldato got himself 12 seconds bonus ahead of Konishev with 8 seconds bonus, and Minali with 4 seconds bonus. So Jalabert got pushed off the top spot and lost his yellow jersey, which is now being worn by Baldato somewhere further back down the field at the moment. There we are, over the top of the mountain moment. Very narrow little roads these. Got a great contrast we've had to the very fast roads, and these two riders now punching a great hole between themselves and the chasing group. Zanetti taking over on the front on this descent, trying to pull away Conte to reinforce that lead they've got. When they've been over the top of the climbs today on this stage from Malaga to Marbella, it'll be a long flat run in towards the finish, and I suppose some of the MG team and the Once team are thinking, well, we'll let the little rabbits have a go today. But Conte is no rabbit. He, having got that yellow jersey, he's lost it, by the way, on that stage when we had the split on stage 3, and he was marooned way in the back group where it was Conte, and he's now way down on general classification. I hope I can find him for you on this massive list of riders, but having worked so hard in the early part, and we are, that's your gap back, 1:15.27. So it's inside 2 minutes now at the moment for Biagio Conte and Denis Zanet. I don't think that 27 seconds to Huntema is going to make a lot of difference. 1:42 back to the peloton for the two leaders. That certainly has come down. Oh, we got the blue storm lads at the front, and his teammates just got himself lash'd, as they say. I must find out what the Spanish word is for lash'd. Alessandro Petacci, the Scrigno Blue Storm, and this long trailing, struggling gang of riders here. Fairly typical stuff on the mountains, but they're only second and third category climbs we've got today, so they're not going to be all that dangerous like you do a first category climb, where they can lose 20, 30, 40 minutes at a time. Very fast start, by the way, today. 45 kilometres in the first hour, and Zülle was determined to try and split the thing up, but it didn't come to much avail anyway. But a very quick start indeed for the riders after yesterday's headwind. Sorry, day before yesterday we had the headwind. That was a pretty rough time. Hang on, get it right. It was yesterday we had the headwind, wasn't it? Yes, it was, because we were on air a lot longer than we thought. And the poor two... let me tell you what happened to the two riders that went away yesterday. I see our Hunter Mark now, having caught up with that rider from Calme, Serrano, who drifted off the front. But they've only got about 20 seconds lead. On the stage yesterday, when we had the strong headwind, we had a breakaway of Cabello and Di Renzo. Well, Cabello got first swept up with the bunch with maybe about, 5 kilometres to go, I suppose. Di Renzo lasted maybe another kilometre. After one time, the lead was just under 20 minutes. And Cabello managed to hang on for grim death on the run-in towards the finish. And he finished just 30 seconds off the back. But poor old Di Renzo, when they caught him, he just got blasted straight out the back. And he staggered in 10 minutes and 3 seconds down. And he lost all that 10 minutes in those last 3 or 4 kilometres. It just shows you how he'd ridden himself into the ground and just came in absolutely blasted and blown in 170th place. Two riders retired yesterday, Bart Volkamp and Jesko Skibby, both of the TVM team, both suffering with a dose of Spanish tummy. They've got the wobbles, the toilet two-step, so let's hope that they're the only ones of their team, because those who listened to our broadcast last year of the Tour of Spain may remember when the two of the teams in a hotel ate some spaghetti bolognese that did terrible things to the digestive systems, and they were all spending their time leaping off their bikes and going behind the hedge. And let's hope that doesn't happen again this year for the riders. These men have been in the action since the early part of the year, way back in January. All highly stretched athletes, and you can't do eating food that upsets you. It looks like two of the TVM boys have gone down and have now backed out the race. So 170 miles this morning on the start line. Sorry about the flicks, by the way. We're trying to get the pictures up through the trees, and sometimes we lose a bit of it. Actually, you see the graphics at the start of the program. For some reason, the Tour of Spain has a little snake thing. I don't quite know where the symbol came from, but this little snake, and I must find out a bit more about Spanish snakes. In fact, I hate snakes. I don't film with. I don't mind anything, but I hate snakes. So something go, yeah, like that. Well, not like moths and things that upset some people, but no, I don't like. I like everything except snakes. Anyway, they've got a little snake on the Vuelta letter heading, and looking at that top shot there off the helicopter, I suppose it may have something to do with that. It's a lovely sight of the snake. One on the left going too far wide. Oh, one of the cars are parked there. Has he got round? Oh, he swung way out, and there was a car with only about 20 or 30 metres of the apex of the bend. I'm amazed they allowed the cars to stop that close to where the riders swung way out. These houses are worth a few bob, aren't they? All got their own swimming pools. Actually, on the subject of swimming, one thing I forgot to mention yesterday, that about swimming on the coast. Down where we were at yesterday, many years ago in the 1700s, and I don't know whether my little notice about it now, but it's very hot in the summer, and people would stay indoors during the day. They didn't have things like air conditioning and so on, and so it's terribly hot indeed. And so they would stay indoors. And in the evening, the youngsters would go out and swim. And I'm talking the late 1700s, when you weren't really sort of allowed to go out and swim naked and what have you. But nevertheless, not only was that, they used to keep the swimmers apart. And so way back in the 1700s, after dark, the young people would go and bathe for hours in the sea, but they had the sexes segregated, and they actually had sentinels there with loaded muskets to stop the boys and the girls intermingling. But of course, the ever present ingenuity of the men meant that some of them dressed as women to go into the waters with them. Naughty, naughty. But that was way back in the late 1700s. Things have changed a lot since then. And you can have your own swimming pool too if you can afford it with your house. So here on the stage then, from Malaga to Marbella, we left behind the lovely subtropical vegetation of Malaga, where they have these lovely muscatel grapes which are exported as raisins, or Malaga wine, oranges and lemons and sugar cane and other fruits and vegetables. You may remember that when we had our top shots of the plastic greenhouses. And moving along towards the rich playgrounds of Marbella. .119, gaps coming down a bit. So Serrano and Huntermark are beginning to eat at the lead of Conti and Zanetti just a small bit. And those are our two leaders on the top of your screen there.
For the Ball d'Or Race 96, Eurosport offers you the chance to win a superb Suzuki GSXR 750. Runners-up will each receive a Ball d'Or 96 t-shirt. To play and win, call the Eurosport hotline now. Eurosport wishes you good luck.
The two leaders there at 55 seconds. The top right-hand corner of your screen are the two chasers, Serrano and Huntermark. The group then at 1:19 on Conti and Zanetti. And they really are stringing. No chance today of what happened yesterday. There was a young girl. We didn't get the news on our headphones. We only found out about it later on. But as we watch our two leaders here off the top of the mountain, there's a young girl called Maria Del Mar, who joined in with the race yesterday at the early part. After the 13 kilometres of racing, she suddenly came out on a racing bike and got into the midst of this little lot. And despite the effort of the commissaires to get her out of the race, she rode along with the whole lot, including getting in the field when they went for the sprint bonification, the first one of the day. And she's actually stayed there for 15 kilometres before, in the end, she was finally persuaded to get out of the race, or she probably decided she'd had enough of it anyway. But that was, don't whatever you do, try and emulate that, because you might find your collar being felt by a policeman at some point. But anyway, this young girl from Santander decided to join the race yesterday with interesting results. Well, we're off the mountain climb today, the two of them, over the top of the Alta de Ogren, where we had a second category climb, and then through Meijas, a third category climb. And those are our two leaders. The route today took the field along the edge of the Costa del Sol to begin with, and we came straight up towards Marbella, passing through Torremolinos and just away from Fuengirola, and then turned inland, heading up north, and did this big loop over the first two climbs, and then cut back down again. They were heading up in towards the Serrano del Ronda, and then came back down through the Hoya de Malaga and back down to the coast, so they could run alongside the coast again into Marbella for the finish. These are chasing twosome. You see 8:32 down, 8:8. They obviously are two of the riders that got marooned in that second group on day 3. Back then with the chasing group here, MG Techno Gym. because they've got Baldato in the Amarilla jersey as the overall race leader. I don't have to be too concerned about the breakaway groups down the road, and obviously with those riders being off the pace as regards the overall classification, perhaps they're going to be satisfied to keep the thing fairly well together at the moment. And there we are, that's the overall race leader, without his crash hat on for a change. Always wears those very those goggles of his. That's one way it helped to pick him out in the bunch sprints. So Baldato here. First time, to my knowledge, he's taken the race leader's jersey in a race. He's the one, of course, that won the final stage in the Tour de France this year. There, the Beyonce rider, now without the overall yellow jersey. He's got black splashes on his version of it now. Laurent Jalabert, who ceded that jersey to Baldato. The gap between the two of them now down to 10 seconds after that sprint earlier on. And he's just following him now all the way through. Jalabert was said to have been a bit concerned about the sprint yesterday. If you saw our programme, they went whipping round a great big island with a fountain in the midst of it, only about 350, 400 metres from the finish. And Jalabert decided to back off a bit, because we've already had some crashes in the finishing sprints here. And Jalabert, I think, was quite sensible to ease back. And Baldato did the reverse. Baldato went round like a cork from a bottle, and he just got himself in the right place at the right time, and then launched the sprint to take the victory and to take the yellow jersey. Baldato, he had second in the Tour of Flanders this year. In fact, he said he had about 10 second places this year and several thirds. He's been many times in the top 10 places. One of his second place scores in the Tour of Flanders, but apart from that stage, finished the Tour of France when he got that one. He's been always seconds and thirds all the way through, but yesterday he got yet another victory. He's been quite a successful chap when it comes to taking victories in various stage races. In 1994, he took a couple of stages in the Paris-Nice. He was also second that year in the Paris-Roubaix. That was amongst his 4 victories, those 2 stages in the Paris-Nice. And there's our leader, top left-hand corner. Gap all growing out a bit at the moment. And in 1965, Baldato had 6 victories. He had a stage in the Tour de France, stage in the Paris-Nice, stage in 3 days at De Pau, and a stage in the Tour Mediterranean. So he's quite a good stage sprinter. I think when it comes to single-day classics, he's there or thereabouts, but at the moment he usually gets himself screwed in those finishes. And he seems to suit the Tours best of all. So Michael Andersson, the Swedish rider for the Telecom team here, getting in towards the closing part of the stage into Marbella. The rest of the field don't seem to be too determined at the moment. They better watch out there, because Andersson down the road there was the Scandinavian time trial champion in 1995, and so he's quite adept at storming off the front. With only 8 kilometres to go, he's about, 20 seconds down the road in front of them. And they won't know a lot about him, really, because he only just recently turned pro in 1995 as such, riding with the Telecom team. They let him loose in this race now. And a big fella too, around about 6 foot. He's down the road there right now. In the past, he's won the Tour of Sweden when it was an open race in 1992. He's also been the Swedish champion in 92, 93 and 94. And here he is now. Won the Rapport Tour with 7 kilometres to go now. He won the Rapport Tour in 95 last year and the Tour de Cap in South Africa in 95. So he's come into this season with the advantage of riding down in our winter and the southern hemisphere's summer, which quite a number of riders do that. And so he's certainly giving him a fair old bit of stick now. And the chances are, if he can keep this going, he might surprise a few people and earn a few bob towards his most favourite car he'd like to have if he had enough money. He wants a Ferrari BB512i. So no wonder he's determined here to get a few bob. He loves motor racing as such, and his favourite food is crepe. So let's see how he's going to enjoy his food tonight. He really is. Look at the expression on this fellow's face. Indurain just peeling off the front there. Stevens in the yellow behind him. They're rolling quite quickly, but Anderson's gathering speed all the time. I'm sure our Swedish commentator is going to be rather excited about this one. And I suppose we've got to go and look all the way back in the books to see if he gets a victory here, as to when it was last that a Swede won a stage in the Tour of Spain, and it would be, I suppose, back with the Pedersens many years ago and the brothers, but that might have been more in a sort of time trial stage or something. So we might see history being made yet again. It looks to be, I would say, a well-judged effort here. 12 seconds back with about 6 kilometres to go. It's a shame in Sonnensbeck he didn't wait just a little bit longer, because a fair old haul now. He's still got about, what, 7 minutes of racing. Someone's riding ahead of him, and he's so much in sight. But the typical tactic of a big fella like this. Again, the MG Techno Gym may be quite happy to let him stay out there for a bit longer. The whole ambition now is to stop Jalabert getting any points. Now you know where you are. You can't miss that, can you? And no, we didn't build the bridge over there. We built this one down here. This is the race bridge with 5 kilometres to go. So about 6 and a bit minutes for him, if he can hang on there. He's going at a good rate of knots. It's going to be a difficult thing for the teams to steamroll him. But MG Techno Gym aren't certainly trying to pull him back at the moment, just trying to hold him there. Now, come on, Polty, come on, MX Honda. Let's see a change over here. Ah, the Americans begin to put in a show. Well, they're not best known for sprinters. Seiko coming through. Now this is going to break up the chase, because no one single team is doing the work. And it's going to be much more difficult too when it breaks up like this for the MG Techno Gym team to keep their eye on Jalabert, keep their eye on Baldato. Much easier when you get one control team going. So this could be playing right into the hands of Anderson. Long lone break. We haven't seen one like this come off so far in the Tour this year. And the specialist sprinter teams haven't really got their act together. Now Baldato, you see him in the yellow there with the blue hat on, so there's certainly yellow jersey in this race. That what we can do is watch out for the blue hat of Baldato, and he's straining all the way up here. Michael Anderson on this little slope in towards the finish. It's not much, but it's enough for the moment, I think, just to hurt his legs. Oh, and he's blown a gasket and suddenly gone. It was just too much for him, that final little climb. Sheer speed of this one. The Seiko ride on the front really has ripped the thing along. He can't hold this forever, surely. They're all spread out all over the place. We've lost the sort of normal rhythm we have coming in toward the finish, where one big team is setting it up for the sprinters behind them. And now the difficulty is going to be for Baldato. He's got to keep an eye on Jalabert, who was behind him when all this action started. Baldato looking to me to be 1, 2, 3, 4th from the front at the moment. Long Indian file. 12 seconds for first, 8 seconds for the second spot, 4 seconds for the third place. And on general classification at the moment, Baldato in the lead by 10 seconds ahead of Jalabert, 22 seconds ahead of Lombardi. So the race for the Amarillo jersey is between Baldato and Jalabert. If Jalabert can get across the line first and Baldato is not in the top 3, then he can get his Amarillo jersey back again. But people like Lombardi will be doing what they can to try and disrupt the activity. Lombardi in a reddish coloured jersey because he's lying second on the sprints competition. Not his usual yellow of the faulty team. Max Schiandri goes yet again. Maximum effort for Maximilian Schiandri. He always is prepared to go in those final 2 or 3 kilometres, and he's never made it happen yet. He's looking back over his shoulders and he's easing just a little bit now. I think he may have to go again. That's just a bit too quick this time, Max. They've got him back. Doesn't seem to have quite the power that we've seen with some of the specialists from Holland and Belgium, but he's prepared to have a go, but he seems to go just a bit too far. I think if he waited it's inside those final 2 kilometres, he might have a bit more chance, but now he's back in that pack. Another attack on the right-hand side. There's a good run in today. After they go on the 1 kilometre board, they turn around a sharp left-hander, well, a biggish left-hander. It's quite a sweeping one, so it shouldn't be too much trouble for them. As Motorola again start to work on the front here. Then they've got a long straight stretch, nearly 900 metres, absolutely straight as an arrow, right into the finish. Again, Motorola trying hard on the front. Van Heijswijk, one of their sprinters, is quite good also at going for a long way out. And that's that left-hander now. It's all over bar the shouting. A dead straight line down toward the finish, and you can see it here. And on the left-hand side in the white jersey, Bobby Julich of the Motorola team is starting to go for some. So he's led out his Motorola teammate, put Bobby Julich on the front here. I wouldn't have said Julich's the world's greatest sprinter, as Max Schiandri looks back to see where they've got to. And Julich and Schiandri at the moment are going down here as fast as they can do. Also, we've seen a Lotus trying to set up Yvan Martin of France for the stage victory. Julich it is still going on the front, and Jacques Schiandri comes off his wheel. He tried once, he's trying twice. Can Schiandri do it now? And they're coming up here with Schiandri on the front. The big sprinter is starting to come at him now. Schiandri begins to die yet again. Schiandri switches across there. Baldato is just behind him. Baldato starts to come through with the blue crash out and throws his arms up, claims victory. Baldato came again almost from nowhere and pushed Schiandri back into probably second or third spot. What a well-done sprint for Baldato. And if he did get the first spot, as he seems to be claiming, then that's another 12 seconds bonus to him. So Motorola set themselves up with Julich first going, but failing towards the end. Motorola challenge came to the left-hand side of your screen, the blue hat on the yellow background. The white hat on the yellow background is Jalabert. Baldato gets on the wheel, comes off the wheel. Jalabert is just behind Baldato. He gets squeezed, Jalabert does. Ooh, that was so close, but Jalabert was out of the points then. Certainly, I think Baldato got that one and taking 12 more seconds bonus in the process. Baldato first, the Seiko rider in second spot. Yeah, and Jalabert is out of the points, and he didn't quite make it. Schiandri taking third, Jalabert into fourth. Here we go again. Schiandri tried so hard. If anybody deserved a state success for sheer gutsy riding, it'd be Schiandri. He's tried so often, but he's up against the real specialist sprinters, and he gets 2 on the trot, does Baldato, and Jalabert just behind him couldn't come through because the way in which the gap was closed on him, and finished off in fourth spot. So here they go again. If only I think Schiandri had waited a little bit before he set off on that sprint. He'd been trying so hard, but he went a bit early. There's a slight drag uphill again. Zülle can let him out nicely in the white jersey. And he switched across the road there. Baldato suddenly saw the gap, came through it. Jalabert couldn't do likewise. Konichet was just behind him. Well, that was some sprint yet again. We've had those all the time. And this is a top view. You can see how Shandy looked like he got it. And the speed at which Baldato came up at him. Got through. Jalabert down there, tries to come past the Skriniar Blue Storm rider. Didn't lean on him, doesn't want to do that because Jalabert had more than his fair share of crashes. So he got bounced a bit off the Skriniar Blue Storm rider. And that meant he just couldn't quite get his act together in the sprint. Further back down there, Lombardi also out the points this time at the top end of the scale. But disappointment for the rider from Seiko, punching himself the handlebars there. Now at approaching 40 miles an hour, 35, 37 miles an hour, all on what they call the rivet. And it's a Telecom team who are riding their socks off at the front, but they're dragging along not only Werner, but they've got Jalabert in there as well. And I think that Lombardi has infiltrated it likewise. Problems now, say, segregating the red jerseys, the red and white ones, between that of the DYC sprint of Werner and the red jersey of Lombardi. Lombardi could do with these 3 vital seconds bonus. Thank goodness it's dry, bouncing over the cobbles. The long string right from front to back. There's going to be, what, the thick end of about 30 seconds difference now from front to back. The hammer's gone down here in Caddy. Still Telecom winding away at the front. Still Baldato is on the wheel of Jalabert. Still in second spot Jürgen Wehner of the Telecom team. Jürgen Wehner Telecom, followed by Jalabert, followed by Lombardi. I'm discounting the 2 lads in the pink jersey at front for Telecom. We're doing all the work. They'll peel off to give their man every opportunity to come thundering through. Quick look over the shoulder. The Telecom rider's got to be very careful that Jalabert doesn't suddenly go zunking past them. Oh, the noise, the hooters, the sound, the helicopter and the bike. Look, the gaps are opening up. Oh, the gaps are opening up. The hammer's gone down. There's some tired legs in there. And the big men are starting to move. So, second in line, Werner, third in line, Jalabert, fourth in line is Baldato. 3, 2 and 1, bonus seconds at stake here. This race is hanging always in a balance of bonus points. The little pouvoir, as Alano calls them, the little gifts. And so Jalabert starts to go in the centre with the white hat and the yellow, and in the blue hat with the yellow jersey is Baldato. And on the line, I think Jalabert got that one from Baldato. Probably Werner was in third spot. Wait for official confirmation, but Jalabert looked good then. He doesn't mind contesting these Metavolante sprints along the way, sponsored by the DYC Whiskey Company, because you don't get the big mass of riders coming down. But watch again now, look how they are in Indian file as Werner starts to go on the front. The Telecom rider then shifts over. Jalabert takes over the sprint. As he starts to go, Jalabert has Baldato on his wheel, and on the line. So, let's look at that one again. Jalabert, I think, just about got it ahead of Baldato, with Werner in third spot. Confirmation will come up shortly, but Jalabert coming back, I think, a few seconds on Baldato, who wears the Amarillo jersey as overall race leader. Those are the sort of sprints Jalabert is quite happy contesting. Neil Stevens was saying to me yesterday that he felt that he knew that Jalabert wasn't worried about the intermediate sprints, but when they get these big bunches coming along, the pushing and shoving means that Jalabert is not too happy on those occasions. Well, they're all back together again now inside the final 40 kilometres to go. We've got a short break coming up. Stay with us on Eurosport. I think Samo was in that back group again today, as we've now got 5 kilometres to go towards the finish. So if you missed the break early on, or sorry, in the final run-in, you can use a lot of time. Petit Casino, I think it is here, or is it Contina Tolo? They've got very similar jerseys indeed. That's Contina Tolo firing a rider off the front here. They're always fairly active, this team, in towards the end, trying to hope to stay away. One of the smaller Italian teams, and on this occasion we've got Marco Di Renzo. Well, we've seen him go for lone breaks as well. I mentioned yesterday that Conte and Zanetti went away yesterday. Well, Di Renzo the day before was in a headlong ride to try and win the stage, and they got about 90 minutes lead at one time, but he got swallowed up later on. He won about 7 races last year now, but somehow I don't think he's quite going to stay away this time as we take a short break. Stay out there and get this stage victory today. We've seen so many riders try to go for the long one, and I wouldn't be the least bit surprised to see getting in towards the end if we don't get another surge of speed from Maximilian Chiandri, who said he's desperately looking to do something in this race. Spoke to him yesterday, he sounded very happy indeed with the performance so far, but just was looking to go that one bit quicker. And looking back down there, I can't see the red and blue jersey at the moment of the Motorola squad, but this fellow's going very, very quickly indeed. Just amazing that one man can hang on out the front of this group, crouched low the handlebars, showing his strength tremendous here. I'm sure we're going to see more of this lad in the future, Di Renzo. I say lad, he's 28 years of age, turned pro quite lately, only coming into the pro scene this year. But with 7 successive amateur last year, he's bridged the gap very well indeed. He's prepared to have a go in the senior ranks, up against the top pros, and still he ploughs on at the front. So we're in Jerez now, going through the outskirts, twisting and turning. As they come in toward the finish today, there's going to be a sharp left-hander, and then it sweeps round on a very gentle right-hander. The final kilometre, not too difficult. So he's got 1 more K to go. He'll have a nice big right-hand swing. And the bunch now can see him well and truly in their sights. There's Polti on the front. You see the red jersey just behind, and that's Lombardi. Lombardi lying on the overall classification at the moment in 2nd spot, looking here for a chance to improve his position. If he gets the 12 seconds bonus, he'll cut the gap, but he wants to keep away from, wants to overtake Jalabert. His 3rd overall is Lombardi, 26 seconds down on Baldato. Jalabert is 22 seconds down on Baldato. There are bonuses of 12, 8 and 4 at the end of the race today. It looks as Di Renzo's moment of glory might well be over and done with. And they've now turned that sharp left-hander, and they'll be going round, and suddenly the Polti team have exploded on the front. And this may well be Uchakov going, looking back over his shoulders. They were all expecting just to lead out the man in the red jersey, but Uchakov loves to go for a long one too, and he might be trying to pull it off now. Hammering away here, clipping, yes it is Uchakov, typical tactics of the man that beat Armstrong in the Tour de France a couple of years ago in exactly the same way. They went away and Armstrong didn't have the strength to come round Uchakov, who's now still doing what he's done to get stages in the Tour de France and the Tour of Italy. He's got 1 kilometre to go, this big left-hander. Now he's turning round the left-hander and up along the finishing straight, and the bunch are coming up very quickly indeed. Can he hang on out there at the moment? He looks back then to see the gap being closed down. Remember, our telephoto lens closes down this group a little bit, but he's been caught, and it looks like Dembaka that might have got up there. No, it's one that the telecom team rider that's gone across to him. The telecom man looked back. His job, in fact, was to look after the interests of Werner in the reddish coloured jersey, and he's pulled back now. He said, no, I've done my bit as the light blue colours here for Gavis, searching for another stage victory for Minali. In the centre there with the yellowish crash hat, that is Lombardi in the red jersey, trying to get a stage victory, and he's on the wheel of Minali. And in the centre then they start to wind it up as the MJ Techno Gym team, Ware has got the yellow jersey with the blue crash hat on, looking for Baldato. I can't see him at the moment. Yes, he's coming up on the right hand side, but it looks like Minali's going to get it. Minali's going to get it. Minali gets it just ahead of Lombardi, and I think Jalabert might have been third or fourth, but Minali got that one from Lombardi. Could have been Jalabert in third or fourth spot. Baldato wasn't too concerned at all. He could see the way the sprint was going, and those people going up there. Well, Lombardi certainly tried to get the stage victory, but he may have only got himself 8 or 4 seconds bonus. We'll have to see the slow motion action replay to see what exactly happened. Minali in the pale blue in the centre for Gavis. He's got Lombardi on his wheel behind him. That's a fellow in the red with the yellow crash hat on him. And in the yellow with the blue crash hat, Baldato can't make up the ground. Blyleven's is still there. In fact, Blyleven's is probably in third spot. He just ducked out, certainly, as to goes to Minali, then to Lombardi. Let's look again to make sure. It's very difficult from the front to get that one. Minali gets it, yes. Lombardi gets second. Let's wait to see if Jalabert managed to pinch any seconds back here. Our telephoto lens closes up the finish, and now we've got a chance to see that it looks like Blyleven's takes third spot, and in fourth was Baldato, fifth was Jalabert. So another super sprint then by Nicola Minali of the Gavis Playbus team. He had virtually no team support towards the end, and congratulations for his team rider there, because that means a great success for Minali. As we look again, Minali, who got to stage 2 in the Vuelta this year, coming through here to take it just ahead of Lombardi, who in fact will have got 8 seconds bonus, and he started 4 seconds behind Jalabert this morning. So in fact Lombardi will have gone into second spot according to my calculation now on general classification. Here's an attack on the far right hand side by one of the Contino Tolo riders. And there they are alongside the murky river, just inside 2 kilometres to go. Not long before we get to the Punta Romano. We may see it on our screen before we twist and turn in towards the finish. Skriniar Bluestorm driving hard in the front. Now it's anybody's turn. A wodge of yellow jerseys on the far side. The AKI team begin to drive this one as well. Trying to set it up for Pavanello. And there the mosque, and in the centre the cathedral. We'll get a shot of that, I'm sure, at the end of the race. Very interesting building itself. And there's the Roman Bridge, just your top right-hand corner of the screen. It's disappeared now as soon as we talk about it. And still the yellow jersey on the front, driving hard for this one. 1 kilometre to go. In 400-500 metres, they'll swing round sharp right. Still Polti on the front, driving hard with the red jersey of Lombardi. Third down from the front. The pale blue jersey Minali is in there too. Another red jersey, want to get himself up near the front. Is that of Werner, riding for the Telecom team. Got himself a 4th spot yesterday, out of the bonuses. Yesterday Baldato won, Lombardi second, Jalabert third. What's going to happen this time round? Swinging out here, still the Polti team are driving hard in the front as the TBM rider pulls off the front. He's done his work for Blyleven, put him into a good spot. Blyleven could do with a stage victory. He got one on stage 5. Who's going to get this one? Still then, launching off there, Lombardi starts to go. Lombardi on the front at the moment. Lombardi's driving hard for this one. Lombardi starts to wind it up, and he's coming out here like a... And Wust is coming left-hand side. Marcel Wust is coming at it. Marcel Wust tries to go for it, but it goes to Minali. And Wust there, just ahead of Tom Stills. Lombardi within 4th spot. Well, Lombardi thought he got it. He started to dive. We'll look at the action replay, and I think that Wust also thought his moment had come. He finished last yesterday. He wanted to finish first today, but somehow I don't think he's made it. Doesn't look trouble at all, does he? Amazing performance. And watch the sprint yet again. Lombardi in the centre, drives hard. Vladimans is on his wheel with the bluish and yellowish jersey. Then Minali takes over, nearly takes Lombardi with him, but Vust comes through, sticking his elbow out to try and get over the top of the elbow of Minali. It didn't happen though, so Minali gets it ahead of Vust. I think Steele's got third and Lombardi fourth. Let's look again here. No trouble at all for Minali. Lombardi certainly second. Tom Steele's into third spot. So at Vust, Lombardi was in fourth spot, so no time bonuses for him at all. The hard work of the day's racing over and done with as far as Minali is concerned. Yet another victory. That's his third one in the Tour of Spain this year. A well-worked one too. You have to come across, drive hard. Vust came through with his elbow out there, but couldn't stop the man who launched himself across the line, with Tom Steele's taking third spot. So on the right-hand side of the screen, coming out of trouble, there you can see we had Baldato finishing. No bonuses for him, but certainly he will keep that yellow jersey, and none of the contenders for the crown managed to pick up any bonuses in this sprint, because the one who was looking for it, Lombardi, had a great lead out, could do no more than fourth there in the red jersey. Yakai, sprinter, Pavanello finishing back in fifth spot. Oh, look how he came through there, Lombardi. He had to put his hand out to Minali and then fought his way around. No, in fact, that was Vust, wasn't it? Marcel Vust had to put his hand out. Then he goes on the right-hand side. We didn't spot that head on. Vust starts to go for it, but it was just too late. He sticks his elbow out here, trying to stop anybody coming through, but Minali's gone quicker than he had. I hope we show that one again, that top shot, because I didn't realise that Vust had to find his way through. He was going a lot quicker than most people, but just didn't get it quite right. Again, this is a shot after Vust had made his way through the little gap. And there we are, Minali. And all those sprinters you see at the front of that bunch, they'll have their rest now. They won't really like the time trial that's yet to come when we come back on air on Tuesday. Now let's look then to see where Vust begins to come through. On the right side, switches inside. See, because a slow-moving rider in the yellow, he'd actually come off the front, having let up Lombardi. He freewheeled. Vust had to put his hand out, and then try and go again up the right-hand side. I'm very sorry for him. Of course, he's sponsored by Eurosport, MX on the Eurosport. I'd like him to go to the stage, but he just delayed going through. I think psychologically now, say, hey, that was going to be my stage, or I hadn't been obstructed by that rider. But no doubt about it, Minali has got the sheer speed on this occasion that even Tom Steele's in third spot couldn't stay with him either. So another superb victory for the Gibbs rider. Welcome to Avia, the finish of the stage today. Avia, 46.5 kilometres from El Tiemblo, where the riders will be setting off today on this individual time trial, the Race of Truth. A lovely view of this very old city. Last time we came here last year, Jalabert won the stage, convincingly breaking away, but the question is today, can he do the same thing in the time trial? That marvellous walled city we've been looking at here, they're one of the best in the whole of Spain. There are some 80 towers all the way around, and just some 9 gates as well. And just a good look there at the cathedral, the greater part of which started way back in 1157, and the earliest part in a Gothic style, but its fortress-like appearance is due to Bishop Sancho, who decided to keep Alfonso IX in sanctuary there during his minority. So, moving away from the scenic views, we're picking up Tony Rominger here on your screen. Tony in a most unusual position, really, because you'd expect a man like him to be riding in the top 20 place, I suppose, at this stage during a tour. But right now, he's way off the pace. He's 64th overall, starting out this morning. 8 minutes and 59 seconds down on general classification on the overall leader, Fabio Baldato, who sets off last of all at 2 minutes to 4 o'clock. So that's Central European time, by the way. They go in reverse order of general classification. we only change it around a bit when you've got two teammates actually starting behind each other, so they don't pace each other. They split them by the rider, which happens to be either just above or just below them. So the riders setting off at 2-minute intervals for the last 40 riders, but the other riders further down the list will be setting off at 1-minute intervals. So Rominger has now really got to try and do something about it. Going back then to Santiago Blanco.
Uno, fuera.
So on the way goes Sandro Bianco, setting off then on his 46.5 kilometres. And I think we're going to see the fastest time set by the rider on your screen right now. He's been in the saddle for something like about, what, 3/4 of an hour, although thereabouts, coming towards 50 minutes. As Rominger is certainly to set the fastest time so far. The rabbits are having a little bit of a fling at the moment. And Rominger there, yes, 50 minutes doing racing so far. So Rominger, certainly the hour record holder, will want to show that he's lost none of his speed against the watch. The ex-hour record holder, of course, since Chris Boardman soundly trounced him at Manchester just about 10 days ago. Although the sun gives you some idea that it looks fairly warm out there, it's not that hot, I can assure you. Not bad conditions for time trialing, except they've got this thumping great climb. I don't know if we're going to get on screen the actual shape of the ride today, because they start 690 metres above sea level, and it's steadily all the way up for 27 kilometres up to the top. And the top of the Puerta de la Paramera is 1,400 metres above sea level, so the constant climb right the way up for the first 27 kilometres, of which the last 17 are the worst. They do about 700 metres of climbing in some 17 kilometres before they get toward the top, and then the long run down into Avilla. So the whole thing is going to be a strongman's course to blast up to the top of the climb and then come thundering down the other side. Next to go on your screen then, Rincon. This man, very strong member of the Once team, has finally decided to pack up his racing in Europe and is going back over to Colombia, where he comes from, at the end of the season, and we're not like to see him again unless he decides to come back over to Europe with his team. It's going to be one of the Colombian teams that don't normally come across to ride in Europe, unless of course they get some strength after they come in the top 20 and get invited to Tour de France, but I think that's highly unlikely. So it's going to be the last time we'd like to see Oliver Rincon on the screen. On this descent now you can see how Rominger's begin to freewheel, because it's flat apart the course, and we'll expect him to put the fastest time up before very long. And so here we have Rominger on the stage 10 of the Vuelta, rocketing in towards the finish. See his legs flying around now. He's inside 7 kilometres to go on his 46.5 kilometre ride, and he's just got a slight bit of a drag into Avilla. He's come all the way off the top of that second category climb, which is 1,400 metres above sea level. When they get into Avilla, it'll be 1,120 metres above sea level. So he's dropping the thick end of 300 metres in a distance of some, 20 kilometres as such. So you really need to wind the big gear up, and they're talking about putting on some enormous big brackets here, they call it, to take advantage of this downhill run. And I think Rominger here absolutely thundering away as Indurain in the start house will be underway. And the advantage here, as Indurain gets going, is that he'll know Rominger's time all the way along the route. Hear the crowd in the background. They're so pleased that this man is riding in the Tour of Spain this year. And he's starting in 22nd place, 1 minute and 35 seconds down. underway, the world champion, the Olympic champion time trialist. An enormous roar goes right the way through the small town here of El Tiemblo. Indurain sets off on his 46.5 kilometres. Tremendous to have him riding here after years. He hasn't ridden since, what, 1991, and now out on his way. He set quite a record in 1985 when he first started in the Vuelta España. He rode then, and he took a second place in the prologue on that particular occasion, and he went on during the race to take the leader's jersey for 4 stages before he retired from the race. He was the youngest rider ever to take over the Amarillo jersey in the Tour of Spain. But since 1991, he's chosen not to ride his home race and concentrate upon, first of all, winning the Tour of Italy and then going on to win the Tour de France. And so now we're going to see this great grand champion. And there's rumours that he might not be riding next year. So watch this one as Romigo's setting the fastest time so far. 58 minutes and 35 seconds at 37 kilometres. Anderson in second spot now, 1:36 down. So he's well underway now through this wall of sound. Indurain in the time trial. Coming out of the town of El Tiemblo, Indurain has been along this part of the course. They've been out there looking at it. The riders actually came up yesterday all the way from the finish that we had in Cordoba, and they came up by the Spanish equivalent of the high-speed train, and there's some 500 kilometres they had to travel in the train and didn't get up to their hotel until midday. Neil Stevens next to go, the Once rider, 1:33 down in 21st spot. There he goes. Start the season in fine form, Neil. He was the overall winner in the Ruta del Sol, and that was a nice, I think, opportunity for him to show that he's still in a chance of winning races, and he's been working so hard for the Once squad now. He's up in 21st spot, but this man wearing 21 on his back, he's 22nd overall, Miguel Indurain of the Banesto team. So I had plenty of time to look at this grand champion. A close-up of this machine. They're riding, as you can see here, what I call conventional type bicycles, because if they're on the flat as such and just a matter of pushing a big gear around, then they'll be riding on their very special plastic low-profile bicycles and so on. I say plastic because it's carbon fibre. But on a race like this, there's quite a bit of climbing. See how much he's getting out the saddle now. So you need the normal drop handlebar position to get some effort into the bicycle, and the whole frame here, it's not so much a matter of being aerodynamic, it's a matter of taking the power that you put in on a time trial like this. Soon tucked down into the triathlon bars. But one thing about Miguel Indurain, we may get a picture again of Tony Romigo before he comes into the finish. He's getting very close to it now. That Indurain sits in a much more upright position. He's not the most aerodynamic of riders. When it comes to time trial, he just uses sheer raw power. And he hasn't got the same flat back position, and that was the problem they found when he went for the hour record, that he just sat up too far and he couldn't get his back flat and lie almost parallel to the ground, as a position much been favoured by riders in those days using the triathlon position. Of course, it's all changed somewhat now with the Aubrey Superman position with the arms outstretched, but even then I think somebody like Indurain might find it a bit difficult to adapt himself to that unusual position. He's not said at all that he's ever interested in going back again for the hour record. He got it once, I think that he thought was enough for him, and he's now let the specialists have a go at it. Specialists on the track, I say, not specialist time trialists, because this man is the world's greatest time trialist, no doubt about that. The platform for so many of his successes has been in his time trial performances in stage races. He's so clever to watch the other riders in the mountains. He stays with them. He can climb with the best. He doesn't outstrip them on the mountain. He doesn't go and drop everybody out of sight. He doesn't attack on the mountain. He just grinds away and keeps an eye on his main opponents. Of course, until this year, when Bjarne Riis, who had actually watched videos of Indurain in the previous Tour de France, Bjarne Riis decided if you attacked Indurain in the mountains and you kept accelerating, slowing, you could break his rhythm, and that is exactly what happened. think we're looking at Escartin now at the moment. Please forgive me if I've got it wrong for you, but the Escartin lying in 59th spot at 8 minutes and 59 seconds down on general classification. Had been hot-tipped to be up there with a shout for a place in the top 3. He's a very good mountain climber, useful all-rounder as well, but Escartin had problems early on in the race. You may remember he was one of those riders who got marooned when the Once put the hammer down and drifted everybody out of the back of the field when they had that enormous race. Yes, it is Escartin, so do I get a prize for that? Who blew a raspberry? You may be able to see his number. I can't. The trouble with these monitors with issue. I can now see his number then. They go back to the start house.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fuera.
So, Zalabetia underway now for the Once squad. The 26-year-old has had quite a lot of success in the Vuelta over the years, and now I think he'll be trying to improve on his position overall as a 20th on general classification. And moving back then with Miguel Indurain. The big gear, they're going to have something like a 54 or 55 tooth big ring on here, and probably as much as small as an 11 outside ring where they'll be able to use on that downhill. And certainly Indurain is now on that big ring, but a big drop on the inside ring this time. It's not one of those close set front ratios because of the big climb. Whoops! You see the problems then with these triathlon handlebars as we go over the top of the dam here, that you don't always have the same amount of control on the bicycle. I had to drop down very quickly and just a little soft touch of the brakes. They've been out, as I say, yesterday, having travelled up to some 500 kilometres on the train. Most of them had a chance to look at the early part of the course and went out training on it. That dam, in fact, is a blockage of the river Albuquerque. It's been dammed and the road has gone straight across the top of the dam. And it does twist and turn this road before they climb up towards Barranco and then up towards the big climb, taking in the National Route 403 all the way up to Avilla. And I tell you earlier on about the position that he rides in Indurain, a much more upright position. He gets plenty of oxygen, those enormous lungs of his. I mean, he's got some phenomenal lungs, Indurain. I thought the biggest capacity of any of the riders. As we go back up to the start house, and we're moving up to the MX Honda rider, setting off at the moment. And there he goes. So Daniel Clavero, who's lying in 18th position at the moment. He's 1:29 down on general classification, whilst Indurain this morning at 1 minute and 35 seconds. As ever in the time trials in a race like this, in a big tour, the overall leader goes last of all. Fabio Baldato will be the last to go. And really, of the riders that are yet to go, the other time trials of some quality are only about 3 of them on the field. Indurain out on the tricky part of the course here on this stage 10 in the time trial stage of the Tour of Spain. Certainly when it twists and turns a bit like this, it doesn't give you all the chance to get really stuck in. Remember that stage that Indurain set the record average speed in Luxembourg in the Tour de France a few years ago. He absolutely rocketed along there. That was just something out of all proportion, because it was long straight motorway stretches, and he just put his big gear in and he ground and he ground and he ground and he ground and he went away, and just nobody could get near him. And he got 4 minutes up at the end of it all. But on a tricky little one like this, it has more chance, I think, of something like Tony Romigo to have a go. Or, said he, watch out for Alex Zülle, who lies 8th overall on general classification. And he could well perhaps be the one that you've got to watch out for, because Zülle, that in the Tour de France this year, in the prologue start of the race, who pipped everybody to the post and took over the race jersey. And Zülle's got a lot of experience as a time trialist. and I think he might be somebody that could be up there in the top 3. So if you're looking to nip down the bookies, the ones that are probably in contention at the end of today for the stage victory will be between Indurain, Rominger, Zülle. Those I would think are the top 3, and Rominger coming in here, you can always see the time on your clock there, 1:10:20:20. In fact, I'm sorry we didn't pick him up at all. They've just shown you that one, and so he has now taken the lead overall, and that is the benchmark for everyone to aim at. Anderson, the Telecom rider, had been leading previously in 1:13:31, but somehow we just didn't get him on that particular point. Rominger, who recorded 1:20:20. Well, at the moment, for my books, Indurain doesn't look his normal, stylish, smooth self. I think he's still taking some time to settle down to this race. He wasn't being too happy a couple of days ago when we had the problems with the motorcyclists getting in the way of the race. He at one time looked very calm, cool and collected. Then he got a bit irascible, and in fact at the end of that particular stage into Cordoba, as he went across the line, normally Indurain goes over the line, turns very quickly round, heads back towards the little gate just behind the finishing line, where they take the riders through to the presentation area, and it's a sort of little enclave where once you get into there, the general public can't get, and only the press people can get. And what happened, some of the public had managed to get into the arena, and as Indurain went through the finish, there were so many riders round about him, he could not do his usual trick and nip off out of the way. And normally also has the guards come straight at him to keep him away from all the helpers, but there's a great swarm of people, and chaos set in, and the police had not arrived at all. One man pinched his hat, another man pinched his feeding bottle, and he was really having to push and shove to get out, because the adulation of the Spanish public was such the poor fellow has been engulfed in a great mass of people anxious to just touch him and be near him. And it took some policemen to come along wielding batons, and they just wheeled the batons and stormed in and started lashing out everybody. And so suddenly all the crowd cowered and disappeared, and they were able to rescue Indurain and get him back to his team car. That is such a grand champion that people just want to get near him and touch him and have their photographs taken with him, which is quite understandable because he's dominated the tours over these past, well, 5 and a bit years. I'm nearly going to say 6, but he didn't quite do it this year in the Tour de France. But he has this year won some 11 races so far, so whilst we think he sort of hides himself, his light under a bushel until the Tour de France, he's been riding 1 or 2 other of the lesser tours and getting his victories there and picking up the time trials as well. But of course this year just not on full song when it came to the Tour de France. Question is, will he ride next year? Well, the other thing is, will he win this one this year? I like this at the end of the year. Lots of question marks over the riders' futures and what's going to happen. And talking of riders' futures, I thought that Bjarne Riis had actually signed for Telecom, but Rolf Goltz, our German commentator, who's himself a very good time to... we're getting Rominger coming in now, and he's already, you can see the chaps in front of him, he's caught them, and now he thunders in here to a time of 1:20:20. A look back at Tony Rominger, who on his way up has collected quite a number of riders. So that's the gap. Look at that, 3 minutes 11 seconds back to Anderson. Dominguez, the rest, this is just the also rounders now. Now you're seeing the platform is set. This is the position now, 1:10:20, and so it looks now that with 1:10:20 for the time of Rominger, that's the benchmark for everybody else to aim at, and all the time checks along the way will be the ones that people like Zülle and Indurain, and of course Jalabert, who's lying 3rd overall in general classification. Baldata, the current race leader, will be looking at, but I feel very sorry for people like Giovanni Lombardi, who's lying 2nd at the moment, the sprint specialist. He's going to be not his cup of tea at all, or glass of Rioja. So some of the later riders you're going to see on your screen will be struggling, but I hope you'll stay with me on Eurosport to see more action after this break. So Miguel Indurain is now well up on the way toward the top of the climb here on this time trial stage of the Tour de France, Tour of Spain. The sun absolutely beating down. Turnaround of his time there, 44:44. I told you I didn't think that Indurain was actually firing on all cylinders on this climb here. So it looks like he's got to do all the work on the descent. He's not going to be first over the top there, but he could be in 2nd spot as the crowd surging forward here, the police trying to push him back The baton charge will start here, I think, to shove them out of the way. Don't get in the way of the Spanish police, whatever you do. They're pretty tough characters. As I found to my cost in Marbella. Sorry, not in Marbella, in Mallorca. Oh dear. That's not so good then. Oh, deficit 28.74 seconds. I thought he wasn't going so well on the climb, and that's probably to be expected. Rominger, I would certainly say, is the better of the climb. Now, this is it. We've really got a race on our hands here because there's 20 kilometres down to finish in Avia, and now Indurain will really start to motor. The big gear will be in. He'll be on the outside ring. He'll be on about 55.11, and he's going to really suck in the air and just let it all hang out on the way down. So 28 seconds down, or just under 29 seconds down in that first 27 kilometres, and he's got 20 kilometres left to pull it back. I say it's all downhill. You can see that there's other bits of false flats in it, but certainly it's a big gear drop from here. And whilst we're watching him pounding away on his big gear, I'm not quite sure that it's just gone 3 o'clock back in the UK as to whether Phil Liggett's got to his next port of call. But I've been picking off his ride as he's been riding on this Land's End John O'Groats record attempt. And so on today, the 17th of September, he was going to ride from Lydiard via Bridgewater, Chiltern Polder, up through Cheddar, up the gorge, yes, Tune Magnet, nice lake there, through Saltford, where they hold some nice regattas, that's by the Avon. In fact, that's very close to where the Sustrans built the first cycle track from Bristol to Bath. So he'd be very close at Saltford, then turning in towards Ulverston and Chepstow to finish there after 81 miles. Having set up at 8:30 this morning, I suspect that Phil has now made it to his bed and breakfast establishment, part of the CTC operation, together with his wife Pat, Terry Wyman, and the Australians Glenn Vega and Chris Rymouth, who are on the way up from Land's End to John O'Groats in aid of Dave Rayner's Memorial Fund to enhance the performances, or enhance the possibility of young riders going to ride in Europe. And the money which has been contributed so far, watching Laurent Jalabert out on the road now, for you British followers of the sport, I've mentioned his name before, but if you haven't caught up with it, by the way, David Miller, who was riding in the two days of Machacoul in France, he actually was second overall behind Christian Blanchard this last weekend, at only 21 seconds separating himself from the overall victor, with another rider for Bernard Sports in third spot at 42 seconds. So another second place for David Miller, who was supported by the Dave Rayner Fund to go out and race in France, and that, I think, the people who helped contribute to the fund in memory of Dave Rayner will certainly be pleased the way that David Miller is going. If you want to put some cash into the kitty for Phil in the Dave Rayner charity, then you can send it with the cheques marked to Dave Rayner to East Cottage Studios. Quick, grab a piece of pencil and paper. East Cottage Studio, Ashendene, that's A-S-H-E-N-D-E-N-E, Ashendene, that's in Bayford, in Hertfordshire. And if you've just got your pencil and paper, at least that's Phil Liggett's address, that one, so you address it to Phil Liggett and Hertfordshire, SG138PZ, that's S for sugar, G for GG, 113, 8P for Peter, Z for Zülle. Then you can, I'm sure, make your check out for the Dave Rayner Fund, and it'll find its way into the kitty. If you want to check how Phil Liggett's doing on the ride, you can always phone Cycling Weekly. Again, pencil and paper. Are you ready? Good, and I'll begin. 0171 261 5632. I'll give that again in case you busted your pen. 0171 261 5632, and Cycling Weekly will tell you where Phil's got to. Because you want to go and ride with him, he's happy for you to come along and ride with him on the Land's End John O'Groats, but take a fiver, will you, please, because he'd like a fiver in the kitty, and he's hoping to raise a lot of money for the fund, at least £2,000 for the Dave Rayner Fund. Dave, of course, was a former Continental professional who died after an incident at a nightclub in Bradford a couple of years ago. So that's his ride today. We're to finish in Chepstow. Tomorrow, Phil's going to start at 8:30 from Chepstow, going via the A466 through Tintern, Parva, on the B4228, through Colford. Colford, that was a place, I think, where they used to make the Ribena. when it was belonged to the company before the present people took it over. I used to drink lots of Ribena many years ago when I was racing, and I'm sure Carters of Colford, that was the company, Carters of Colford, who were the first to invent Ribena before it was taken over, I think, by the Beecham Lucasade group. But he's going through Colford, Ross on Wye, Withington, Leominster, that's spelt Leominster, but it's called Leominster, and up to Ludlow, and then to Much Wenlock, covering 91.5 miles tomorrow. Ludlow, lovely part, a nice fountain hotel, a nice black and white building, and then into Much Wenlock, and it'll be on the flatter part heading up then out through Shropshire. So Much Wenlock tomorrow, he'll be ending up there, and if any of the cyclists in that neck of the woods want to join in with Phil, then that's the route he's taking tomorrow. I'll just keep you updated with this from time to time, because I hope that lots of funds can be got. And of course, Phil Liggett, to those who say, who's this chap anyway? He's not only the Channel 4 television commentator and writes for the Daily Telegraph, but also an ex-first category rider, and he's going to be in December the president of the Cyclist Touring Club. So good luck to you, Phil. So back with the race, Zülle here. Should be setting some fast times, waiting for the first time check to come in for him. Indurain has it all to do on the run down now. He's got over the top of that climb after 27 kilometres of riding. The 20 kilometres, say, virtually downhill. There's a bit of false flat in it from place to place, but the top of the climb was 1,400 metres above sea level, and when you get down to Arvilla, it's 1,120 metres above sea level. So in fact, he's got a drop of just nearly 300 metres in the way down into Arvilla. You see, look at the top of this climb now. This is the last, I suppose, the little false flats or slight drags. And he'll be very pleased with this one to think that it's all over bar the shout. He's still got to ride his bike along here at the thick end of around about 28 miles an hour, sometimes touching over 30. If he's going to sniff back the victory, which at the moment looks like it could go to Tony Rominger, who's completed the distance in 1 hour, 10 minutes and 20 seconds. One thing about the riders that have finished the time trial so far, they can all go back to their hotels and relax. They were spread all over the place last night. There were some even out as far as Madrid. As Indurain here helping himself to a little drink. It's very hot conditions today. Zülle's getting a great big earful at the moment. It looks to me as if he's starting to pull back on his 2-minute man as well. That's a jolly useful ride for Zülle. Already this year he won the Tour of Catalonia, he won the Catalan week as well. Had a disappointing Tour de France in the end, having taken the yellow jersey at the start of it all. Got a very low slung triathlon type position here, tipping himself well forward on that unique look bicycle, not riding the one that was banned in the Tour de France this year. And Indurain, you can see much more upright position. I was saying earlier on that there's a vast difference between Indurain's position and that of Zülle. I haven't had time to count all the time trials that he's won, Indurain, but I think it was something approaching, I don't know, over 40 or something. Might have been near to 60. He's been so dominant when he comes to time trialling, and of course he continued that dominance into the World Championship and the Olympic Games. I'd be interested to see if he's going to get toppled today, and that might disillusion a bit for the overall success in the Vuelta. He's been looking good until today at Indurain. And there, 1:10.20 for Rominger. Alonso a bit off the pace, not going to make the top 70, or is he? Just 68. Well, as expected, when you get some of the riders who are best known as for sprinters, when they found themselves fairly well up in the general classification, the better time trials will start to sort them out now. Sorry about the picture problems, by the way. It should be pretty clear. We've gone back to Indurain, have we? Apart from being the time trial champion last year, And there we are. That's, oh, Mauri, in fact, in 4th spot. That's slower than I thought there. So Neil Stevens is doing a real stormer, Neil, at 3rd at 35 seconds. That really is a good ride for him. With Mauri then in 4th spot at 38 seconds. Well, we go back up to Zülle again, and Zülle's got company here. They're not supposed to ride as close as this, by the way, and I'm a bit surprised. Any minute now, I think the comments there might shout at Apollonio from the Scrigno Blue Storm team. Apollonio, at the moment on the general classification, is 59 seconds down on Fabio Baldato, and Zülle has caught him for 2 minutes, and he should in fact drop off the pace a bit at the moment. And Apollonio still staying. That's terribly illegal to sit in like that, by the way. And he's just turned to pro ranks. He should know the rules. I mean, he had 8 victories last year as an amateur. The 26-year-old now, he's slipped a bit off the pace. I thought he certainly knows about these things, but Apollonio has been contesting the sprint finishes, always been there or thereabouts, and so now suddenly the situation is going to change because, I say, Zülle's caught him for 2 minutes already. I think so, and we might have lost what I call the international sound. I hope you can sort of bear with us on Eurosport if the noises are not as you expect them to have. Iñigo Cuesta, well, should just about make the... no, won't make the top 10 at the moment, I don't think. No. Or will he be 10th? Milks his time there. Has just been beaten, so he moves into top 10, but that won't be for long. Once showing some great strength in depth here when you think about it. They've got him in that top 10 place. Neil Stevens going very well indeed down the road, and they've got Zülle and Mauri as well. So I think Once might suddenly change the overall team classification too as well, because MG and AKI have been dominating the team classification so far. But I think there's one occasion now at Once are just going to push him out of the team classification totally. And Indurain then coming along here, ploughing through. He's just got those final 10 kilometres to go, just around about just over 10 minutes of racing ahead of him. Indurain on this stage then, struggling somewhat to pull back that deficit when he went through the 17-kilometre point, 10 seconds down on Rominger, 28.74 seconds down at the next of the time checks. And there you can see that Zülle has now moved into 2nd spot on the 17-kilometre time check. So still Rominger is showing that he intends to try and win this race. In fact, it'd be nice, I suppose, if Rominger did get the time trial today, because he's certainly not going to move into the top 3 place on general classification, but if he can begin to move up into the top 10 as such at the end of it, perhaps it might restore some of his confidence, having been about 8 minutes down, 8:39 down this morning, or 8:59 down this morning on people like Jalabert and Baldato et al. Well, it really is. They're catching blokes left, right and centre here, aren't they? And I'm not surprised that this is going on then, that Jalabert would catch Pavanello. You go Pavanello, you see the size of this fellow's thighs, just look at him. He's another of these sprinters that have been contesting the intermediate sprints all along, and he really is not built like a time trialist. He's going to really find himself struggling all the way to the finish. And Jalabert, who started this morning in 3rd spot on general classification, 21 seconds down on Baldato, will not say that he's the world's greatest time trialist by any means, but certainly he's going to ride his socks off to try and stay in the top 3 places today. The question is, though, how much difference can Indurain make? He was 1 minute 35 seconds down on Baldato this morning, and if Jalabert started at 21 seconds down, he was in fact 1 minute and 14 seconds adrift of Jalabert. And the whole buzz around the camp this morning, around the race and yesterday, was that would Indurain dominate the time trial and not only win the thing but take over the Amarillo jersey. But he's got to punch at least a couple of minutes out of most of the top people if he's going to really start moving up there and looking like a winner of this race. Zülle really struggling here. So 23 seconds at 37 kilometers. I thought it was 28, so I will stand corrected there. And the rest have yet to come. What's he signaling for? Oh, so 37 kilometers. Rominger. Oh, that's right, that's off the top of 20. Oh, my mistake. In fact, he's pulling it back. That's right, it was 28, it's now 23. So the 27 kilometer was 28.74, and at 23 kilometers, Indurain has pulled back 5 seconds, 5.74 seconds in those 10 kilometers. He's got 10 kilometers more to go, and if he pulls back another 5 seconds, then he's going to be about still some 17 seconds down on Rominger. So he is beginning to go faster than Rominger. He is beginning to eat into the deficit, which was there at the top of the mountain, but it looks like he's left it too late now. He's 10 seconds down at 17 kilometers, 28.74 down at 27 kilometers, and now at 37 kilometers, he's pulled back an extra, what, nearly 6 seconds as such, but he's got to really fly down here now, and you can see how his legs are whirring round on that big gear, thundering along here. Wish they put the camera down onto the motorcycle. I suggest he's probably doing well in excess of 40 miles an hour. Very determined look on his face. He has to distance himself from people like Zülle and Jalabert and Mauri if he's going to do anything in the overall classification today. And already we know that Zülle has gone that bit quicker than Indurain at the first of the time checks after 17 kilometers. He's got some 4 seconds faster. So again, it's going to be one of those close time trials like we had with the Olympic Games this year when Chris Boorman and Chris Boorman, Alano and Indurain were fighting it out for the Olympic gold medal. And one thing about Indurain, he has got the enormous strength. He's got 8 kilometers to go now. And the sort of speed he's going along here, that's just over a minute per kilometre, so around about just under 9 minutes from now, we'll be able to know what he's doing, how is he going to fare against Rominger, who will be waiting with bated breath to see if he can win this stage today. In the Tour of Spain last year, in the time trials we had there, over 41 kilometres, Salamanca to Salamanca. Alano won that one. Jalabert second spot at 23 seconds. Zülle was third at 43 seconds. So it shows that Jalabert can roll quite well. By the time we went to the second of the time trials in the Tour of Spain last year, from Alcalá de Henares, it was a big circuit as such, 41.6 kilometres. Alano won that one again. Jalabert second at 2 minutes and 6 seconds. Zülle in 26th spot at 4 minutes 30. So Zülle was beginning to die then at the back end of the tour, and that's often his troubles. He gets a bit frail, does Zülle, toward the back end of a big tour and can lose time, and so he didn't manage to topple that one. But certainly Jalabert, if he can hold the form he had on the first of time trials in last year's event, then he could be going quite well. So the unknown quantity though is Indurain here, riding the first time in the Vuelta España since 1991. And Zülle at the back, flying along here. This sort of time trial with a slight drag uphill would certainly suit him. And the shouts of encouragement for his team manager behind at the moment. But you can see that how it's beginning to hurt. This drag really, he's all crouched over his bike. He hasn't got the most comfortable style, Zülle, has he? It looks like he's really struggling and suffering here, grovelling over the top of his bike, but he's going quite quickly indeed. In the Tour of Catalonia, which he ran at Victoria in the time trial there with 13.5 kilometres, the first one, he won that one, pushing Jonker back into second spot. Garcia was third. Again in the time trial on stage 6 over 20 kilometres, he won that one in 22.53, pushing Jonker back into the third spot. So that was a sort of recent event as far as he's concerned. 37 kilometres. See the gap there. Neil Stevens still looking good in third spot at the moment. And this is Indurain. really playing along here. This is where he's got to go flat out, because he will have known the time checks of Rominger, and it's all down to his final 3 or 4 kilometres. So Indurain has ahead of him Rominger's time of 1:10:20 to beat, and the riders just coming in now along the course, but certainly Indurain, who started this morning in 22nd spot overall, 1:35 down. Laurent Dufaux coming towards this time check now this morning, 13th overall on general classification, 1 minute 20 seconds down. Hasn't been featuring in the time check so far, so Dufaux is not doing, unless something changes here. We haven't seen much of him on the time check so far. Unless Dufaux suddenly come good at this particular point, then he might be finding himself having difficulty hanging on to his position overall. The clock has not run, I'm sorry about that. We hope we get confirmation of it. For some reason, Mr. Dufaux's riding in a vacuum right now. He's thundering on in to the ancient town of Avillers. And a wall of sound which is greeting the great Grand Champion himself. I just hope he stays in his race. I just hope he goes right the way through to Madrid. He's got an enormous following amongst the Spanish public, and in fact across the world too. And here he is, the first time since 1991, riding in the Tour of Spain. They can watch him always. Just listen to that crowd. Indurain, the Spanish Grand Champion, riding into this very, very old city. Circuiting round, he'll be coming up alongside the walls. It's a very exposed part of the world here, and it has sometimes, I suppose, the atmosphere of a bit of a frontier camp. That's where it is, based on an old Roman city. And the Romans came here and set up a frontier post because they had some problems with the Celtics that were in the area, and so after the Romans moved out, you can see the walls there in the background. After the 8th century, the Avillers was again in the midst of the constant wars between the Christians and the Moors. And now the battle's going on between Rominger and Indurain, going round these magnificent walls here that you can see on the right-hand side. 88 cylindrical towers, you can see them here, and they've got 9 big gates as well. They date back to 1088. They were built between 1088 and 1091. Are we going to see history now, though, with Indurain coming good at the back end of the time trial and taking the Amarillo jersey of overall race leader? What's going to happen as far as the stage success? This is all in the balance. Indurain's time as regards the overall classification will be important, because although Rominger might still run out as victor as he bounces over the cobbles here, the crowd in front make it almost impossible for him to see where to go. Just aim at him, Mig. Come on, go straight at him. Get out of the way, you stupid man. Oh, I mean, some of these people are crazy with the cameras, aren't they? But still, they're seeing the great Grand Champion on this ride, at this drag in toward the finish. He may not beat Tony Rominger, but can he do enough to take the Amarillo jersey? He has to beat Baldato. He started this morning 1 minute and 35 seconds down on Baldato and feels sure that he'll beat Baldato. The question is, Jalabert this morning was just 1 minute and 14 seconds ahead of Indurain. Are we seeing Indurain? Can he punch 1 minute 14 out of Jalabert? Can he take the time out of Zülle as well, because Zulle's been going extremely quickly. Zülle this morning started off 56 seconds down on Baldato. So there were just some 39 seconds separating Zülle and Indurain. Zulle's been going extremely quickly. We're coming in toward the finish. Can Indurain get sufficient speed in his legs to outdistance not only Jalabert but Zülle too, who at the moment looks like being the big threat for the Amarillo jersey? This has suddenly turned itself into a battle of giants. We've had the battle of sprinters so far. 9 stages of fast and furious sprinting by the men who've got the big muscles and have been exciting the crowd when they come thundering down inside the final kilometre. But now it's a long kilometre all on his own for Indurain. who'd been trying so hard to get some speed into his legs after knowing on the time checks that he was down on Rominger at the first time check by 10 seconds. He was 28.74 seconds down at 27 kilometres. He pulled it back to 23 seconds at 37 kilometres. And now riding in here through this deafening wall of sound, can he pull back those extra 23 seconds? Somehow, I think he might not just do it. He may finish in second spot, but then what will happen to Zülle behind him? There, the clock shows that Rominger's time 1:10:20. He's not going to beat it, but he could be in second spot as he comes down. He can see the finish now. The crowd urging on the Grand Spanish champion, the big time trial champion, the Olympic champion of time trials, the world champion of time trials, a man who's seldom beaten against the watch. He's been beaten today by Tony Rominger, who'll get some consolation from that, but can he take the Amarillo jersey? Zülle and Indurain, and in a battle with Jalabert. This is going to be real some time trial today, here live on Eurosport, as Indurain crosses the line in second spot, 1:10:47. So, at the end of it all, 26.83 seconds down, despite the speed at which he seemed to come off that mountain. It was not enough, and just shows that Rominger, who took it all out of Indurain on the climb, was able to hold the gap on the way down. I told you before about the scrum that develops when Indurain goes across the line. Everybody wants to get close to him, and we already had a few problems with the police a couple of days ago. Had to sort of get in with the batons to push people back. And there we are then. That is the current standing on the overall classification of today's stage. But Rominger start this morning 8 minutes and 59 seconds down on GC. He may yet win this time trial stage, but he won't take over the yellow jersey. That's going to be between Indurain there and the riders yet to come, people like Jalabert and Zülle. Mauri didn't look like he was going too good either, but you never know as the race is unfolding on this time trial stage of the Tour of Spain. Zülle is a man who may well be able to take over the Amarillo jersey if he can keep up the performance we've seen so far. He was 6 seconds slower than Rominger at the first time check, where Indurain had gone through 10 seconds down, so he's marginally faster than Indurain, who's now finished in second spot. And so it might even be possible if Zülle can get some more speed up, that he might even challenge Rominger for top spot. Here on the long grind up the climb, Jalabert, last year's victor, wearing number 1 on his back, doesn't look like he's finding it to his liking at all. Perhaps not the world's greatest time trialist, and when he had the Amarillo jersey last year in the Tour of Spain, had certainly helped him in the first time trial, when he just finished 23 seconds down on Olano in the first time trial. But he dropped back a bit further on the second time trial when he knew full well he could win the race overall. But certainly this next time check is going to be very interesting indeed. Alex Zülle, 6 seconds down on Rominger, 4 seconds faster than Indurain at the 17-kilometre time check. Going through there in 45.19. Well, I reckon that they didn't put the time up there, but on my little scribbled notes here, and there's paper everywhere, so forgive me if I got it slightly wrong, that Rominger went through that time check in 44.44. So in fact, if that is so, and he's just gone through in just over 45 minutes, in fact he is now something like about maybe 15 to 20 seconds slower than Rominger. And as Indurain went through at about 28 seconds down on Rominger. I wonder what this is going to happen now. Neil Stevens has been putting up some good rides. Let's watch for this one. Neil has been, what, second and third fastest at some of our time checks up the road there. Come on, let's run the clock on Neil. He's run a wonderful ride here, Neil. And there he is. Well, he could well finish in third spot here at the moment. Indurain is just ahead of him. It looks like it is 12.22. Damn good ride by Neil Stevens. Excellent performance. That's a great good on you, son. Open the tinnies. Neil Stevens is showing but he's kept some of that form that he had throughout the back end of last year. He had a most eventful winter where he cracked his collarbone, got himself married, then came back over into the sun in the Spanish area, because in the Ruta del Sol he loved this early start of the season and finished first overall, heading Gonchenko and Farazin, Ruiz in 4th spot, and Ludwig 5th, Monod in 6th spot. So I don't know if you get given the Order of Merit in Australia and then come along and win a Ruta del Sol straight after you get that one, having got yourself married and broken ribs, but that's an interesting way to start the season. Now to be third on a time trial stage in the Tour of Spain, I'm sure that Neil will have a moment to relax once he gets his breath back and savour that moment, but I fear he won't be third for much longer with Zülle out there on the road. Although I didn't think that Jalabert was going all that quickly. We'll have to wait and see. This is getting a fascinating finish to the time trial today. So thankfully, as far as Zülle is concerned, he can start to wind up that big gear. He was struggling a bit. He looked good at the bottom of the climb, and then toward the top end, I think he began to find it just a bit too rough for him and began to slow down quite a bit and struggle somewhat. But now, as with all these riders, thankful that the worst is over and they get the big gear rolling and got anything left. This is the time to do something about it. But remember, Rominger came off here very quickly indeed too, as fast as Indurain. So Zülle's got his work cut out, because he certainly hadn't headed him at that last climb time check we had. Tremendous ride by Zülle to be the second fastest at the first of time checks. He dropped back to third on the third of the time checks, and coming in towards our VA now, not long before he turns round and starts that climb up the cobbled stones right alongside the old walls of the city, and then he'll be into sight at the finish. A nice close-up view of him. An unusual hooky position. See how he's got his hands down, he's sort of pulling back on the handlebars. Most unusual, but those long gangling thin legs, I always think he rides with a bit of a heron, and in fact my old great mate Ray Booty as well, with his glasses and his position. Goodness me, I mean, when Ray Booty broke the 100-mile record, got inside 100 miles, inside 25 miles now, just inside 4 hours, and down there watching him come through the early part of the time trial, I thought this is something we're not going to see the like of since then. But I'm sure the great Ray would say these time trials today are out of a different era. The way they can roll along well over 25 miles an hour, uphill and down dale, it's just unbelievable. The whole thing's changed so much. And here we are again alongside that lovely city. If you just tuned into Eurosport and watch what's happened, this is the walls of Avila, constructed in 1088 and onwards, and we come up through that green rolling countryside with the rocks sticking up through it into this rather cold part of the world. It can be very cold during the winter and very hot during the summer. And over the years, the battles between the Moors and the Christians, the battles between the Romans and the Celts, and now the battle between Rominger, Jalabert, Zülle, Mauri and Jalabert for that Amaryllo jersey, and also the glory of a stage victory. Well, it's a useful ride here, going to give on. See, I think the team victory today, as Melko Mauri coming in, should in fact to be comfortably into third spot. Neil Stevens also for the Onte team. We're watching this one to see how Mauri comes through. And Mauri is just going to pip Neil. That's a good ride, just shows the quality of Neil's ride as Mauri comes across the line. 1:12.10 and goes into third spot. So Melko Mauri, class winner of the Tour of Spain and the ex-Spanish time trial champion, put a quite a respectable performance there, 1:12.10. But somehow I think here that Zülle, who started 4 minutes after Mauri, by the looks of where he's got to now, is going to really trounce that one, and he'll be challenging them for that top time we've got so far of 1:10.20 for Rominger, 1:10.47 for Indurain, and those are two riders that have got inside the magic 1:11. He really is trying hard here. That gangling position that he's got now, 1 kilometre to go. He's got to concentrate, settle back down again, get himself tucked in on those bars, accelerating quick. There on your screen is a time. Rominger 1:10.20. But also watching very carefully will be Miguel Indurain, who start out this morning between Zülle and Indurain. There was just 39 seconds difference between the two of them, and if Indurain's going to take over the leader's jersey, then Zülle's got to finish outside 1:11 by something like about 1:11.26, I think, if he's going to. Oh, in fact, he could take the Amarillo jersey on this basis, because he's not certainly got to be 11.26, I don't think, here, the way he's coming along here. Accelerating now, and he could well beat Indurain's time of 1:10.47, and as he beat Romiger's time, he's going faster and faster, 10.20. What a tremendous last few kilometres he put in here, and he's romping away here, could well try and get the victory. Is he going to get it? No, he's not, at 1:23, 1:24, but that certainly, I think, will take him into the Amarillo jersey. I'll wait for confirmation of that time as to whether it was 1:10.24. Second by 2:10. Oh, 2.10 seconds, right. So 1:22 then it'd be, not 1:24. 1:10.22. 1:10.22. And a bit, maybe 1:23. Well, he's certainly beaten Indurain, and that means then that Indurain has not taken the Amarillo jersey. Romiger there just 2 seconds ahead of Zülle. This morning there was a hell of a gap between them, you know, something like 9 minutes difference between the two of them, so he won't take the jersey. But at the moment, Zülle, Indurain looking down there, Neil Stevens, and it's like yep, it looks like the Amarillo jersey could go to Zülle, who so far put up the fastest time of those riders in the top 20 or 30 places. I think Apollonia coming in now. Like a pirate or something, got his handkerchief round his neck. Oh, it's Guarini, by mistake. Oh, don't we see much Guarini, have we, all the way through? No, that's right, he was, what, 2, 4, 6, 8, oh, he's well down here. 1:20, had some 10 minutes adrift. So Jalabert, the only big, well, I say big star, because Baldato's out there. We haven't seen any of Lombardi. Jalabert 1:45 down at 37 kilometres. He was the Olympic points champion in 1992, and since then he's been showing his sprinting to a great extent. And now Jalabert back with the man who's had the Amarillo jersey already in this race. Start out this morning, just 35 seconds behind Alex Zülle. Zülle has already come through to finish his ride today. In 1:10.22. So Jalabert has to beat a 1:10.57. He's got 1 minute to go to take the Amarillo jersey off Zülle. It's a long, old, hard climb. This last year, 12 months ago, when the stage finished here, he'd broken away and he rode triumphantly up here to get the stage victory into Abillet. And on that occasion, Jalabert came up here into Abillet. He recorded a stage success. He got the Amarillo jersey right the way since we had the small finish at the Alto Naranco, the one we're going up. Oops, what's happened now? I was looking at the results, I'm sorry about that. Oh, gosh. I looked down for a moment and trouble comes. What on earth happened? You saw it, I didn't. I was just checking about how last year he went into this stage here. Sorry about that, good viewers back at home. Not got eyes in back of my head. In fact, unfortunately, since I bust my ankle jogging during the Olympic Games, I've had to sit with one foot up and papers all over the place. And I missed that. Sorry about that. Whatever it was, it won't have helped his cause at all. And there, the 11, so it's gone past the magic point. when he could have taken the Amarillo jersey off Zülle. But now, what can he do against Indurain's time? He has to finish within 1 minute and 14 seconds. You'll see Indurain's time down there, 1:10, so that's 1:11.59, let's say about 1:12. Can he do it at 1:11? I don't think so. I don't think he's going to take Indurain. It looks to me as if there's going to be a neat little once sandwich between Zülle taking the Amarillo jersey and then Indurain in second spot, Jalabert into third spot, making a nice little once sandwich, first and third, with the Benesto rider in second spot. So that little problem he had down there certainly disturbed Jalabert. And coming down here, now I think he's just faded outside the time necessary to take over the third spot on general classification. And Laurent Jalabert finishing then in fifth spot, 1:12.12. Doesn't look too happy at all, but then time trialling isn't his out and out forte. When he's had the Amarillo jersey on his shoulders, he's had to ride hard as he did the other year. But then that was on the early part of the Tour when he finished second behind Olano just by 23 seconds. And there we are, that's the running order at the moment. So in fact there's overall classification at the moment, yep.